What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Fireside Giants. I'm your host, Anthony Rivardo, joined by my co-host, Alex Wilson. And the Daniel Jones contract is once again the topic of conversation. It was a topic of conversation all throughout the offseason leading up to the contract being signed, and even after it was signed, when Daniel Jones got himself the 4-year, $160 million contract, it was an even larger topic of conversation. You had fans saying it was a good deal. I was one of those fans. I think it's a good deal. But then you had a lot of fans saying this is a garbage contract. They should have never given Daniel Jones that much money. And now, fast forward all the way to September, you have NFL players competing against Daniel Jones saying that the Giants took a big risk giving him that money and it was a bad idea. So, interesting stuff from Dre Greenlaw and the San Francisco 49ers criticizing the Giants front office and Daniel Jones in particular for his contract and the contract that they gave him. Very, very interesting. It's rare that you see a player of another team really come out here and make comments like this about another player in the league, but it happened, so we're going to go ahead and discuss it. Daniel Jones was pretty coy about it, didn't want to get too deeply into it when he was asked about it, so we'll go ahead and get deeply into it and discuss Dre Greenlaw's comments and Daniel Jones' contract in general. So we're going to dive into all that, but before we do, make sure to leave a like if you do enjoy this episode, subscribe to the channel if you are new, ring the bell so you don't miss an episode, comment your thoughts on the topic down below in the comment section. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, please make sure to leave us a 5-star review, and go ahead and follow us on all of our social media channels at Fireside Giants. But without further ado, Alex, how are you doing today, my friend, and what are your thoughts on Dre Greenlaw's comments?
I'm doing pretty good. And look, Dre Greenlaw's comments, I guess a lot of people are asking us that question, right? A lot of people in my mentions, a lot of people in the comments, like, why did the Giants give him $160 million, right? Over 4 years? Why? Like, what, he's not worth the money. Well, guys, I'll ask you this. What was the alternatives, right? Who were they going to go after anyway? Are they going to draft somebody? We were towards the end of the draft. We ended up with the 24th overall pick. Who were we going to draft? You know what I mean? Who were we going to sign in free agency? There was nobody. There was nobody there. It was Daniel Jones. We were rolling with Tyrod Taylor. And do you guys really think that you would rather see Tyrod Taylor quarterback this team knowing that we have no hope than at least see Daniel Jones try to get to his potential, see his potential, at least what we've seen in a couple of games throughout his career, I'd argue I want to see some hope. I want to have a reason to watch these games, man. And let me just break down this contract for you very quickly, because I know a lot of people are taking aim at the contract and saying Daniel Jones isn't worth it. But guys, the Giants structured this contract with the thought in mind that he may not be worth it, okay? They had the same thought you did. Wait a second, Daniel Jones may not be the guy. How do we prepare for the future in the sense that maybe he doesn't reach his potential? So let me break it down. After this season, the Giants only have one more year of Daniel Jones, and at the end of the day, they can get out of it at $22.2 million cap hit for 1 year in 2025, and then they're clean slate again. They're good to go. And think about all the rookies on this team. They have 2 rookie cornerbacks in Deontay Banks and Trey Hawkins, who are keeping the costs down. We'll see what happens to Xavier McKinney. Dexter Lawrence, Andrew Thomas are locked in long term. You have a rookie center. You have a right tackle on a rookie contract. You have guys across the roster on rookie deals. Wan'Dale Robinson. Then you're probably going to go get maybe a receiver next year. There's a lot of talent on this team that is just young, inexperienced. So the costs are low. So if the Giants say to themselves, hey, you know what? We suck this year. Let's say we finish with a record that puts us in a spot to maybe draft a quarterback. I wouldn't rule out the idea that the Giants may draft a quarterback in the first round and have him just sit behind Daniel Jones for a year and learn the system, develop, and then you have an out after that season and Daniel Jones is still the quarterback and, they're like, you know what, we're going to move on. Maybe we're going to trade him. They have a lot of avenues they can go with in this particular situation. So don't look at this contract. Don't look at the money and say to yourselves, we are trapped with Daniel Jones for this long. In a perfect world, he pans out, guys. He ends up becoming a great quarterback. He ends up getting the supporting cast he needs, and he plays like he did against the Saints, against the Vikings every single week, and we actually win games. That's the best case scenario. But the Giants prepared for the worst case scenario. So I want everyone to take a step back and actually recognize the fact that Joe Schoen, this contract, yes, he's being paid $40 million a year, but one, there was no other options. There was no other direction for the Giants to go unless it was completely tanking, and I imagine that you guys probably don't want to see that level of football. We actually want to watch a competitive team, and the first 3 weeks, yes, Daniel Jones hasn't played altogether that great, but neither has anybody else, man. The receivers haven't been good, the offensive line hasn't been good, the defense has been piss poor. It's been a team freaking just absolute snooze fest. So, Anthony, I'm going to give you a chance to give your take on this contract before we kind of address the comments. But I think this was structured very well. I think this gives us a chance to get out of it if we want to after 2 years. There's one big dead cap hit, but if you are going to replace Daniel Jones, my friends, it's going to be with a rookie quarterback, so you are going to be able to afford that dead cap hit. So don't even worry about that. Like, that's basically irrelevant, the dead cap, because in another world, in a better world where he pans out, his cap hits $41.6 million in 2025 and only $22.2 million if they move on. So you're saving $20 million there. You probably have a rookie quarterback in play that's making $5 million. You walk away with $15 million to actually spend elsewhere. So you tell me. It sounds like a pretty good idea. Sounds like a pretty good structure. I want to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, I've given my thoughts many times on this contract. I'll reiterate them once again and make it clear that I haven't changed my mind on these thoughts. You know, my mind hasn't been changed due to the fact that Daniel Jones has struggled through 3 games. I mean, and that's really not even true. Like, yes, he's struggled through 3 games. The whole team has, as you said, Alex. And when the things were going right around him, we saw him play at an elite level in the second half of the Week 2 game versus the Cardinals. So we do know that if the Giants put the right pieces in place, get this puzzle looking pretty, Daniel Jones can make some nice plays. But recently, the Giants have struggled, so Daniel Jones has struggled. He's struggled, so they've struggled. It's like a mutual relationship here. When one's struggling, the other's struggling, and vice versa. But on this contract, my thoughts have always been that the Giants paid just about the market price. You could argue they went a little bit over, and you could also argue they went a little bit under. Did you guys see the money that Joe Burrow was just handed from the Cincinnati Bengals? Are we going to have the conversation and say Joe Burrow's not worth that money? He's struggling just as badly as Daniel Jones, arguably, through the first 3 games. Both teams are 1-2. I know Joe Burrow is dealing with an injury. Okay, guys, I understand it. Joe Burrow is a better quarterback. I don't even have to say that. I got it. But when you're looking at the money that he was just handed, then you're looking at the money that Daniel Jones was just handed, it's a huge discrepancy between those 2 contracts. And what does that tell you? The top of the quarterback market is not where Daniel Jones is. He is not at the top of the quarterback market. He's probably about $50 million under where the quarterback market is going to be by next season, the top of it at least. So you're talking about him being paid like a top 15 quarterback in the NFL. And honestly, that's about what he is. Will he ever be much more? The Giants certainly hope so, but a lot of fans don't think that he will be, and that's okay because the Giants can get out of this contract after 2 years. Basically what they're doing is saying, we got Brian Daboll in here, we like what we got. We got Daniel Jones, we can work with what we got. So now let's work with it for the next 2 seasons, see how it goes, and if Brian Daboll says, I can no longer work with what we got, let's get rid of him and go get something else. I don't think that he gets cut after this season, obviously. The following season, he probably doesn't get cut. But 2025 season, you can cut him and you only have $22 million in dead cap. And you save about $30 million or $20 million. You save $20 million there. No, it is $30 million. And then the next year, you basically have nothing to pay Daniel Jones. So you can free up a ton of cap space if you just wait this thing out for 2 years. And that's what the Giants are going to do. They're going to give him another 2 years. And then for those final 2 years on his contract, they're going to decide, do we want to pay these last 2 years or do we want to cut him, move on, and take a high draft pick quarterback? And they're going to have a lot of options. They're going to have a lot of flexibility. That was the number one word that I used to describe the offseason for the New York Giants for all of Joe Shane's contracts: flexibility. Every single deal that he gave out was flexible, meaning that they traded for guys, they signed guys, whatever. All those contracts, they had outs in them. They were incentive-based. They were very flexible deals that you can cut the players and not have any problem about it. You won't cap strap yourself. And it's the same thing with this Daniel Jones contract. So where is he being paid relative to the rest of the quarterbacks on the market? He's not being overpaid if you're looking at it relative to the market. In fact, he's probably being paid just about what he should be getting paid. Unless you think he's a terrible stinker of a quarterback, a top 30 quarterback, then yes, he's getting overpaid. But starting quarterbacks who give you quality 17-game seasons, maybe not elite play, they go for $40 million per year now. That's just how it is. It sounds like a shit ton of money because it is, but at the quarterback position, it's about average now. And give it 5 more years, it's going to look plainly average at the end of this deal. So that's my take on it, Alex. You want to know my take? I think that the deal is fair. Is it ideal? Honestly, probably when you're looking at it relative to the market and how quickly the Giants can get out of it with such a minimal penalty. But if you're asking, is it a lot of money? Hell yeah, guys. Daniel Jones is making a lot of money, and because of that, he needs to start playing better football. Both things are true. It's a good deal for the Giants. It's a good deal for Daniel Jones, but it's not a good deal for the Giants unless he plays better football. Both things are true. So that's my take on the contract. I think he'll turn it around. I don't think they'll end up cutting him. I want to hope and believe that he's the franchise quarterback through 2026 when this deal ends, but it's also very true that a lot of the times the contracts are wrong, the player is wrong, and they get cut early. But thankfully, the Giants structured this contract in a way where they can move on with no problem. But Alex, let's talk about these quotes from Dre Greenlaw and a couple of these other San Francisco 49ers players. I know that you got them pulled up, so let me hear them.
Yeah, so Dre Greenlaw basically came out and was like, I don't really know why they paid him, but okay. So when it comes to these quotes, you have to kind of take into account that the 49ers defense is straight up elite. Like, they're going to dominate most quarterbacks. Most quarterbacks that get paid a lot of money are going to look like pedestrian players against this defense. The quote exactly goes, I'll pull it up right here. He says, a lot of people who make all that money don't deserve it. I think they took a chance when the Giants signed Jones to a 4-year, $160 million deal. I mean, he's not bad, and if you ain't got anything better. And that's kind of what I said before. There's not much better. If you look at the top kind of values of the contracts handed out to quarterbacks, you want to know a couple players that are earning more than Daniel Jones? Well, Dak Prescott's making the same amount as Daniel Jones. How about Deshaun Watson at $230 million? How about Kyler Murray at $230.5 million? How about Russell Wilson at $245 million? Would you rather those deals? Because I certainly wouldn't. Like the players below him. Kirk Cousins getting $35 million per season. He's obviously very, very good. At least he plays excellent. He's got a lot of really good weapons. Hawkinson, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison. Derek Carr. Would you say Derek Carr is better than Daniel Jones? I don't know. $150 million there for him. Ryan Tannehill's got $118 million. Gino's got $75 million. He's getting $25 million per season. Quarterbacks that are getting $40 million per season include Matt Stafford and Dak Prescott and Daniel Jones. So, it's all relative. I think right now, as you said, teams are giving out a lot of money to quarterbacks these days, especially starters. But the fully guaranteed is where it gets interesting, right? So, Anthony, the fully guaranteed money, this is where you actually have to look. This is where you really get the full kind of grasp at how much you're committing to a player. Daniel Jones, out of all those quarterbacks listed, has $81 million guaranteed. Dak Prescott has $95 million. Josh Allen has $100 million. Deshaun Watson has $230 million. His whole contract is guaranteed. Kyler Murray has $103.3 million. Russell Wilson has $124 million. You're seeing all these players, like, he lands actually below some of those players in terms of the longevity of his deal. His guaranteed money isn't crazy. The total guarantees at $104 million, but the fully guaranteed is only $81 million. So it's really nothing to freak out about. I'm pretty sure Andrew Thomas got probably around that much guaranteed. So, your left tackle, you probably assume your quarterback's a little bit more important than your left tackle, and he's got the same amount of guarantees as Daniel Jones. I'd argue that's probably favorable for the Giants. So, when it comes to these comments, I think that, yes, the Giants took a chance. They took a chance because there was nothing else to do. There was no other avenue to take. But however, in that same breath, they gave themselves an out. So they have 2 years to develop things. And look, I think there's two ways this goes, Anthony. The first way is that Daniel Jones ends up building with the rest of this team. This team needed a full gutting. I don't think everyone realizes that. This whole team needed to be torn apart except for a few key pieces. You keep Saquon, you keep Andrew Thomas, you keep Dexter Lawrence. Those are the guys that we keep. Everybody else, except for Leonard Williams and Adoree Jackson, who are going to be gone after this year, are brand new for the most part, Brand spanking new. Most of these guys are brand spanking new. So we had to gut this roster, put it back together, and it's the second year in that process. Daniel Jones has the unfortunate reality of having to suffer going through this 3 times. The roster's been basically gutted 3 times, twice under the Gettleman era when he went on this big spending spree in free agency to try and plug all these holes. And then, basically his first couple drafts were nothing. If you go look back at those drafts, man, holy hell, the mid to the low end of those drafts were nothing. It's a freaking graveyard of picks. So you have to replace the whole depth on this team. They're all young, all developing. It's tough. Daniel Jones honestly just caught the wrong end of the stick. He got the short end of the stick because he has to now develop with a team that is not ready to compete in terms of overall talent. The promise is there. I really like a lot of these young players. They just need time. But again, the NFL it's a game of results. You need to win on a week-by-week basis. That you don't get those games back. There's not 162 games like there is in the baseball season. Every game matters. So I'll say this. By the time that Jones, this second year comes in, or the third year comes around and they're even out in that contract, the truth is, the Giants' offensive line may be getting a lot better. Their receivers may be getting a lot better. Their defense is improving, and they may want to reset that quarterback window with a rookie quarterback on a fresh deal where they can spend even more elsewhere. That's a very viable option for them. But that option doesn't exist unless they build it into the contract. So, guys, this contract is not bad. You know, you have Dre Greenlaw thinking that he knows anything about the cap situation, and he's just taking shots because he's taking shots at everyone. He just took a shot at Zach Wilson and the Jets like yesterday. So he's talking shit about everybody. This isn't a Daniel Jones thing. And now everyone's like asking Daniel Jones about it. Like, what do you think? Did you see that? And he's like, yeah, I saw it. We lost. I'm focused on what we're doing with these guys and trying to get back on track. Like, he doesn't care. I mean, at the end of the day, Daniel Jones walks home with 101 total guaranteed dollars. He doesn't give a shit. Dre Greenlaw could go out there and say that he is the worst player on earth. Daniel Jones is like, yo, hold my bag. You know what I mean? He doesn't care. Like, he's got the money no one way or another. So he's like, all right, we're on to this week. I don't care. Dre Greenlaw, like, you know, linebacker probably getting paid like $10 million a year. Look at my 40 mil. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter to Daniel Jones. It shouldn't matter to Daniel Jones. All he should be focusing on is how to get better, how to improve himself, and elevate the players around him. Now, with that being said, Andrew Thomas may not play this upcoming Monday because didn't practice today. That freaking blows. Ben Bredeson, probably the most underrated player on this offense, in my opinion, is going to play. So really, really hyped about that. But look, Seattle's a good team. They should not be overlooked. We can beat them, but they're not going to be an easy feat. So I'll say this right now. Daniel Jones has to elevate his game in this upcoming matchup because this game could have wild card implications. So whatever the 49ers were saying about him, now's your chance to prove it wrong. You know what I mean? Now's your chance to say, like, I earned this money. You know, this money, I got this contract because they saw what I could do, and now's my chance to put it on the football fields. I think you take this and you use it as motivation. That's what great players do. You listen to that interview by Tom Brady recently. He came out and said, I was hoping anyone would say anything about me that I could use as fuel. The same thing that Michael Jordan does, or used to do. Any little piece of information, anything that he could say to get in my head, I use that as fuel. I want Daniel Jones to do that. I want him to see those comments, take that information, digest it, and say, this guy's talking shit. I'm going to show them what that looks like. I'm going to show them what I can do now. And I hope he does, because we really need him to step up, elevate everybody around him, and make some plays where there are none, because that's what great players do. But again, he's not Patrick Mahomes, so I don't expect that out of him. But I do expect everyone to give him a little bit more support, and I expect the coaching staff to help get the most out of everybody like they did last year with the roster that was completely in shambles. So I guess that's kind of my final take.
Yeah, I mean, is Daniel Jones Patrick Mahomes? No. Will he ever be? No, I don't think so. But can he be a Kirk Cousins, a really good quarterback who throws a lot of touchdown passes, wins a lot of games, makes it to the playoffs year in and year out? Yes, I think that Daniel Jones can be that. But Kirk Cousins has Justin Jefferson, has TJ Hawkinson. He's got a lot of elite weapons. Daniel Jones doesn't necessarily have those. Yes, he has Darren Waller. He's got Jalen Hyatt. These guys need to gel with him. They need to build some chemistry. They need to develop. It's going to take some time. So through 3 weeks, a lot of fans and players alike are now criticizing Daniel Jones and the contract that he signed this offseason. The Giants didn't sign this contract expecting him to just prove them right in 3 weeks into the regular season. They expected that he's going to develop on this contract, continue to get better, and prove them right in 4 years from now. So big difference between perspective and reality, and I do think that the New York Giants, again, I think that they made the right decision. There's not many options out there for a quarterback. You got to do what you got to do. And Daniel Jones, hopefully he plays better and he turns into a superstar quarterback. I'm hoping so. Right now, I still believe in him. I haven't lost my faith just yet, but he does need to play better. But the whole New York Giants team needs to play better, especially when they go up against good teams like the San Francisco 49ers, at least make it close. But now we got a very winnable game coming up on Monday night against the Seattle Seahawks. I do think this is a winnable game at home on primetime for the New York Giants, and I'm hoping that Daniel Jones can improve his primetime record to 2-11, get himself a win, get the New York Giants a win, and show everybody why he's boss. That's what I'm hoping to see, and of course, we're going to update you on everything with the injury reports and all the news and rumors surrounding the New York Giants leading into this game and so on and so forth right here on Fireside Giants. So make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this episode, subscribe to the channel if you are new, ring the bell so you don't miss an episode, and comment your thoughts on the topic down below in the comment section. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, please make sure to leave us a 5-star review, and go ahead and follow us on all of our social media channels at Fireside Giants. Without further ado, we will catch you all on the next one. Have a good one, and let's go Giants.